My name is Bill Dennison,
Caroline Donovan.
and I'm a Vice President for Science Application at the University of Maryland Center for Environmental Science.
And I'm a Program Manager at the Integration and Application Network. The Integration and Application Network is a group of scientists interested in solving, not just studying, environmental problems. And we try to do that by facilitating science communication between managers and research scientists and the information that they have and that needs to get to the public.
This beautiful bay is something that I've had a pretty long relationship with. I first met Chesapeake Bay in 1977 aboard a sail training vessel, the Westward, out of Woods Hole, Massachusetts. So I got a good chance to transit the bay and visit a few of the iconic places along the way. Always thinking, I'd like to come back here someday. You know, I was away from Chesapeake for 10 years. So I show up and I look at the bay and I say, what bad things are happening here? You have these mahogany tides every year. The grasses are way down from when I left 10 years ago. The oysters are almost gone. The crabs are down. What's going wrong here? What's the matter? And they said, oh, well, you don't understand. Well, what am I missing? So as a response to all those problems, a big monitoring program was set up.
The Chesapeake Bay Report Card is a geographically explicit assessment of Chesapeake Bay health on an annual basis. And so it's really looking at indicators mainly of water quality and biological health in the tidal part of the Chesapeake Bay. So we have water quality indicators. Those are just chemicals in the water that are important for the growth of other animals and plants. And then we do have benthic macroinvertebrates, and then we have another indicator, which is submerged aquatic vegetation, which is an indicator of health. It is a plant, but it's also habitat for fish and shellfish like crabs.
It's been an interesting journey because people have kind of skeptical at first. You know, how can you boil that down to one number, one grade? In the end, I think they see the value, and the deal is these report cards. Yeah, there's one simple little C grade overall, but underneath that, there's tens of thousands of data points.
I think that if someone just picked up the report card for the first time, I think they would see that overall grade of C, and that's okay. You know, we're holding our own against increased population, climate change, these different impacts that we're seeing on the Chesapeake Bay. But I hope that they would dig into it a little bit more and look at the trends over time, because we are seeing improving trends in the individual regions, and that's just as important as the overall C grade.
One of the things that's really exciting about this year's report card is we have these 3 fisheries indicators. And we measure 3 representative fish. We do the striped bass or rockfish, we do the blue crab, and we do the bay anchovy. The bay anchovies are these small forage fish which supply the food for the larger fish, the most abundant fish in the bay. And the great news is that these 3 indicators are the best we've measured in the 12 years we've been measuring it. So we're starting to see the linkage between improving water quality leading to improving fisheries. And, you know, ultimately, people don't really care so much about what the oxygen or nitrogen level is in the bay, but they do care about whether they can catch a crab or a fish. What's really encouraging about what we've done is we've had incrementally improving scores for the 4th year in a row. The hard work we've been doing for decades now on this bay restoration are starting to pay off. So we had a press conference. We had Senator Ben Cardin from Maryland. We had Secretary Ben Grumbles and Secretary Mark Belton.
And as the senator from Maryland, now the senior senator from Maryland, the Chesapeake Bay is one of our federal delegation's top priority. Why? Because the Bay means $1 trillion to our economy. It means jobs, 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 and it does in so many, not just direct, indirect jobs. It is part of the economic lifeline of Maryland and this region. But the Chesapeake Bay is even more than that. It's a way of life.
The 2016 Chesapeake Bay Report Card, it really highlighted the things that we're doing around the watershed that involve partnerships. Not only is the actual report card done, by a partnership of people, but there's also a lot going around the watershed that's couldn't happen without the partnerships that are in place.
The whole body of effort that goes into Chesapeake Bay is pretty impressive, and people in this watershed have a heightened awareness of the importance of the bay.
we're seeing improvements in the Chesapeake Bay report card. We want those improvements to continue, and the way to do that is to make sure that all these partnerships are really strong, that we're still continuing to work together to, protect and restore the watershed. If you improve ecosystem health, you're going to improve recreational aspects. You're going to improve fishing and crabbing. And if you go to a restaurant and you're going to eat crabs, that is directly, affected by how, healthy your local river is that where that crab is living. So I think people should care about ecosystem health because it actually affects them in indirect ways that will improve their lives and the economy over time.
This country, the history of America has a lot to do with Chesapeake Bay. Not only is our nation's capital on the Potomac River one of the tributaries of Chesapeake Bay, but one of our first colonies, Jamestown, is in the James River, another tributary of Chesapeake Bay. The abundant resources that Captain John Smith was accounting for, they literally were chasing fish down with a frying pan. They didn't have a fishing pole, and fish were so abundant they could wade in the water and whack them on the head with a frying pan and get enough to eat. I think that this year's report card in particular is about how this partnership is beginning to show the benefits. It's also a call to go out and the water clarity is fantastic. I was out on the bay yesterday. The fish are jumping. The grasses are up. It's fun to be out there. So go see it yourself. We invite you to go explore the bay.